Most veterans take decades to realize that winning your VA disability claim, even if you have zero evidence from service, is actually easy. So easy, in fact, a caveman can do it. By the end of this video, I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to reveal the entire game plan behind how I won a 100% permanent and total disability rating and have helped thousands of clients do the exact same. Buckle up, because you're about to see how easy VA disability claims can actually be when explained correctly and executed well. I'm Jordan Anderson with VAClaimsAcademy.com. Hope that sounds fair enough. Let's get into it. Okay, so fair warning, y'all. By the end of this little segment, when I explain just how top-down the view of VA disability claims, you may get frustrated. The reason is because you may have thought, oh wow, I thought it was much more complex. I wish I would have won my VA claim years ago using this strategy. That's okay. I just want you to know that this is opportunity from here on. You can't go back and change the past. Look at it as, hey, you know what? I have room for an increase. I can win now using this strategy. So now moving forward, I like to boil this down simply, right? What's the saying? If you can't explain it to a third grader, that means you don't really understand. So I like to think of VA disability claims in 3 steps. Here's the reason for that. Think about this. Let's flip the script. Let's pretend like we're the actual VA rater here, okay? You get a claim that hits your desk. What's the first thing that you're going to think about and the first question that you're going to ask? Whether, when you want to know whether to decline or to approve this claim. Well, the first thing is going to be, hey, this person is claiming headaches. Do they actually have headaches? That's the first logical question. So we need step 1. We know that we're going to need a diagnosis. I'm going to abbreviate that to DX, a medical diagnosis. They're claiming headaches. Do they have headaches? What's the way to know this? Because remember, this is an on-paper process. It's a bureaucratic process. It's on paper, not necessarily just reality. So anyone who tries to tell you, oh, it's just your medical records, that's all that matters, that's not necessarily the case. It has to be the medical records, as well as you're going to see here, it has to be able to tell your story correctly. So, do we have a diagnosis? That's step 1. Now, as the VA rater, remember, let's imagine we're the VA rater right now. Okay, this claimant has migraines, has headaches. They're diagnosed, they're documented on paper. What's the next thing that you're going to ask to know whether you should be compensating this person or not? Okay, they have migraines. But were the migraines a result of their service? That's step 2 out of 3. It really is this easy. We're going to say SC. This stands for service connection. So notice, this is going in sequential order. We don't even have to care as the VA rater if this is service connected, if the migraines don't exist to begin with, if they only exist in reality but not on paper. Let's go to 3, okay? This is going to all tie in. Only after these 2 are proven, or at least accepted by the VA, now they actually care how severe it is. This is just common sense. The VA doesn't care how much pain you're in or how, impacted your life is, right? The fact that you can't throw a football with your kids or your grandkids because your back injury from jumping down from heavy equipment or from rappelling down, off of helicopters because you were air assault. The VA doesn't care unless they see that you have a diagnosis confirmed and they concede that it's service connected. I'm going to give you this quick tip, and then we're going to tie this in together. You're going to see the magic behind this. Don't be one of the veterans that gets stuck trying to plead to the VA how severe their ailment is without winning the first 2 zones first, because it goes in sequential order. Okay? By the way, if you're getting value out of this video so far, make sure you hit the like button for me. Let's go tie this together. Notice how this is green, yellow, red, right? Just like a traffic light. I'm going to keep this easy for you. Let's get a little bit more in detail, but notice how we have green, yellow, red. That's because it's corresponding with sort of the 3 sequential stages, the 3 battlefield zones, if you will, of VA claims. Now that we know that we need to win those 3 zones, I'm going to show you specifically what documents will correspond with that so you have a full claim and you'll know. the first place to look to see, now remember, green is the first thing. We need a diagnosis. The first place to look, if you have, on the rare chance that you have been to the doctor during your service, right? During active duty service, the first place to look is to pull, if they weren't burned in a fire, your service treatment records, STR. Now, your service treatment records are different from your VA treatment records because in service, when you get diagnosis, so for instance, if you're active duty right now and you're about to transition out, make sure you get your diagnosis during your active duty enlistment, because if it is in your service treatment records, you are that much more likely to get granted the next step, which will be service connection. But where else can we get documented diagnoses? Well, we can get it in our VA record, which I'm going to write right here. Your VA record, I'm talking about medical records, will show, when you've been to the VA doctor, what you've gotten checked out for. This is hugely important because especially if you have, let's say you were in the military back in the 90s, back in the 70s, let's say, and even though you had a diagnosis in your service treatment records, let's say you had back pain. Well, now you could be so far removed from that back pain that if you don't have new treatment, this could be at the VA, or it could be, which I'm not going to write here, this could be your private medical records, right? Maybe you have Kaiser Permanente and you go to that doctor. They all have records. That's what this green section is for. Now, this is important because, again, whenever you're claiming a VA disability claim, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is having the perfect setup claim, but no recent medical records for this condition. You're signaling to the VA, please deny me because my condition is no longer an issue. That's what you're telling them when you don't have an updated treatment. I'm talking about the last 3 months or so. Make sure that it's on paper, it's an ongoing issue, right? This is an on paper process, like I said. Now, step 2. So we know when we went to the top here, yellow means, hey, are you service connected or not? I'm going to tell you right now, fellow vets, this is where 80+% of veterans go wrong, and probably the reason that your claims were denied. So this is hugely important. If you can get past step 2, you can breeze through to a victory on your VA claim and breeze through step 3. So this is the meat and potatoes here, right? What are the things that we need in order to dominate here at stage 2, at the second step, right? The second battle zone out of 3 to win service connection for your VA disability claim? This is huge. Well, the number one thing I would say, especially if you've been far removed, again, it's been maybe decades since you've been out of the service, or if you don't have medical records from in service, right? They were telling you not to complain. Go ahead and suck it up. Don't go to the doctor. Oh yeah, we'll cover you. You're going to get your VA disability after. Don't worry. Right now it's service before self, right? All the things you were told that happen to be absolutely not true, right? What's the good way to undo that? This is a huge issue. Number 1 is going to be nexus letters. NL. A nexus letter is a powerful tool in VA disability. What this essentially is, just to make it simple, this is a doctor's note, okay? It's a doctor's note that essentially says that, hey, this veteran's condition is at least as likely as not to be caused by their military service. Now, think about this for a second. The burden of proof is really low to qualify as a nexus, at least as likely as not. That means the doctor can sit on the fence and say, hey, you know what? I don't even know if this condition was actually caused by their service. Who knows? As a professional, I'm going to say it's a coin flip. It's at least as likely as not, 50%. That right there qualifies as a legitimate nexus. So many veterans overlook this. So if you had to, let's say, spend cash somewhere on your, VA disability claim, it's hard to waste money when you're talking about a tax-free pension for the rest of your life for you and your family, right? As the potential return. This is where you would want to spend it, okay? You want to target the nexus letter in order to win service connection. This is actual medical evidence. It's from a doctor, right? Preferably even a specialist. That could be very compelling and a huge win for you and your claim. What's the second thing? There are different types of evidence for VA disability claims. We just talked about medical evidence, right? These are medical records, diagnoses, and even a nexus letter, since it's from a doctor, signed by a doctor, has a doctor's letterhead. That's also medical evidence. But did you know that your statements as a layperson actually count and are weighted as legitimate evidence in your VA claim? Your VSOs don't tell you this. They're great people, but they're just slammed and they don't have the time to educate every veteran on an individual basis. That's why you're here, right? A personal statement, PS, is a great way to help win service connection. I'll give you an example. Right now, you're dealing with ringing in your ears, or maybe it feels like you have swimmer's ear, right? Where you have a sense of fullness or buzzing, pressure in your ears. How does the VA know that, you were a cook in service, but actually you were rolling with the, scouts, or you were rolling with the infantry, but on your records, it says that, hey, your MOS was as a cook. The VA is going to say, hey, you were a cook. You weren't exposed to loud noises on a regular basis. You didn't have acoustic trauma. Well, this is your opportunity in a personal statement to fill in the gaps, translate your true story into the VA's language, and the only time that you can talk directly to the person making a decision on your VA claim. Does that sound powerful? Absolutely. So why do almost no veterans submit a personal statement with their claim and end up going to the Board of Veterans Appeals, all the way to the courts, appealing their claim for years, and they didn't even do themselves a favor of taking 15 minutes to write a personal statement? Don't let that be you. Again, if you're getting value from this video, hit the like button for me, please. Now, vets, important tip here for your personal statements. This could make or break you, okay? I see this, and I write, this is my bread and butter. I've written thousands of personal statement drafts, templates for clients. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see when I look and review personal statements is that we think that a longer personal statement is better. Hey, if I give the VA 14 pages, that'll really teach them. They're going to see all my detail and they're going to have to approve me. I can tell you this right now, it's working against you. There's only so much information that's actually relevant into rating you and, dictating your percentage, that beyond that, I promise you, no one's going to read your 14-page personal statement. That's the harsh reality. This is the real world. So trim it down. Make sure that you are laser focused and you have done the research. You've gotten educated. You know what 38 CFR, the regulations for the VA, say on how to rate you. You know the 3 steps for your VA claims because you've seen this video, and you know how to deliver an impactful surgical strike of a personal statement. It's a beautiful thing. Now, let's go here. This is it. You're out of the woods now. You've gotten through step 2. You are about 90% of the way towards winning your best VA claim. What's the last thing we need here? Again, we had our diagnosis. So yes, confirmed you actually have a condition that is actually existing on paper. Step 2. Okay, you know what? We are on the hook for this, right? Just like if you rent a vehicle and you ding it up, right? You run into a lamp post, you're going to be on the hook for that damage. So too is the military when they were renting you during service. And then now, okay, you know what? What's the damage? How much do we owe? This is clearly on our tab. How much do we owe you? We determine that again by severity. How bad is this condition? Not in reality. That's not in reality, but through the lens of 38 CFR. For instance, back pain, right? You think that, the fact that you wake up in pain each morning, it's excruciating. You can't, tend to your garden. You can't play with your grandkids, reach over and pick up your toddler, right? The VA doesn't care. They care when you go into your C&P exam, they use the goniometer and measure your range of motion for your thoracolumbar spine, okay? That's how you're rated. You think that we're going to change how the VA does things? No, we have to be able to adapt and know how we're rated. So we need to get educated on 38 CFR, and the easiest way to sort of ensure the VA knows how severe we are is, what is this? Another personal statement. That same personal statement that you wrote, actually not another personal statement, the same personal statement that you wrote that helped you get service connected, also has a little paragraph talking about how severe your condition is through the lens of 38 CFR. So if you have headaches, just like we talked about earlier, you're talking about how you have to lie down, right? Whenever you get an attack, it's prostrating. That's what that word means. You're talking about how it's, takes hours in order to get rid of it. You're talking about the frequency, and you're talking about the economic inadaptability, about how it hits your pocketbook. Why? Because that's what it says in 38 CFR, okay? You're not going word for word quoting 38 CFR. That's just weird. No one talks like that. But you are speaking to all of those criteria. Does this make sense? All right? We need to think like a lawyer, but speak like a layperson to the VA. That's when you're playing chess and not checkers, right? So a personal statement, translating your true story into the VA's language. You're going to hear me saying that a million times. What's the other thing? Let's say that you need an increase, right? You need an increase on a condition. You have PTSD rated at 30% right now. The average mental rating is 70%. You know you need an increase. If you're rated for it 0% or higher, we know that you're already service connected. The VA has already acknowledged that. Your battle zone is right here, severity. The VA doesn't know your PTSD is actually severe because you went through a free veteran service organization and they didn't have time to tend to you, right? They're good people. They just didn't have time for you. So now this whole time it's been costing you and your family cash each and every month. Don't let it happen another day. Another thing we can do, you need an increase. You can pay for these, or maybe your doctor is willing to sign one, fill one out for you. We're talking about a disability benefits questionnaire, right? A DBQ. This, just for your information, when you go into the C&P exam, right, a compensation and pension exam, this is your final VA examination where, either a VA doctor, but most likely a contractor is going to examine you. They're filling out that little clipboard the whole time, right? And you know what that is in their hand? It's a DBQ. It's a disability benefits questionnaire. You can get one from your private doctor, and that could enter in as evidence. Your private doctor can say, hey, you know what? Michael's PTSD actually satisfies, in my opinion, this level of severity, which happens to correspond with the 70% VA rating criteria. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. You are going to use and deploy these different weapons, if you will, right? As needed, but you know when to use them because now you know the 3 steps, the 3 battlefield zones. So I want you to do me a favor. Whenever you get around to it, right now, right? Look at your decision letter for maybe something that you've gotten denied for. And you're going to read this decision letter and you're going to get indications, you're going to get hints on which step of the 3 you hit the brick wall at, okay? Did they deny me because I didn't have a diagnosis? Well, that's an easy fix. Go to the doctor, right? Did they deny me? This is most likely it. Did they deny me? That's the worst star ever. For service connection, they said, hey, you have been diagnosed with a disability. Wow, great. I'm going to get paid. But we deny you service connection. Wah, wah, wah. That's 80% of us. Look at it. Look for the hints. Now you know how to troubleshoot your claim. It's only 3 steps. So here, you're probably in this zone where you got denied service connection. Yellow, hello. What can I deploy in order to win and advance my claim? I know that I can get a nexus letter, either from my own doctor, even my own VA doctor. By the way, how do you get this for absolutely free? freenexusletters.com. Check it out. Try it for free first. And then if you have to pay for a Nexus letter, pay. And here's why. A Nexus letter signed by your own doctor is so much more compelling than someone you saw on a Zoom call that's treating you for the very first time. The VA sees these things, right? They see the same doctors signing all these Nexus letters, right? If you try a cheap Nexus letter company and these doctors are doing 1,000 a day, do you think the VA doesn't know that? Okay. Get quality Nexus letters. Go to freenexusletters.com. The most quality will be from your own doctors if they're willing. That will even help them be willing to sign for you. Or if you have to pay for one, go expensive. Go with the expensive companies if you can, because they do less volume. The VA sees these doctors' names less. I digress. Also, this is free. Writing a personal statement just takes a little bit of your time and research, right? Or, by the way, if you want me to help with your VA disability claim personally, click the first link in the description below. A personal statement's free. Why wouldn't you put in free effort at a chance at getting a tax-free pension for the rest of your life? Yeah, it's that powerful. And then, boom, you've advanced and you know the drill. DBQ, maybe, personal statement, but you're out of the woods. Fellow vets, I hope this helped you. I hope this made the process click. It's really not as complex as a lot of people make it out to be. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Hit the like button for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.